This is Absolutely Essendon, the Bombers YouTube fan channel that went away on a European holiday only to come home to find the house on fire, the fridge empty and the dogs supporting Collingwood. At this point, we're not training players, we're just preparing them for rehab. The only thing that we're managing better than the injuries is our expectations. And after last night, well, the Guantanamo facility has announced that if waterboarding doesn't work as torture, they're just going to show the prisoners a replay of last night's game because anyone will crack under that sort of duress. Roll that music.
Get rid of the club! Sell them! I'm had enough!
Well, it's probably the worst game I've ever seen.
Very disappointed. Like, I'm gonna cry.
Oh, I'm not happy chap today.
This club needs so much help, and I'd love to give it to them because they got so much heart. The whole fan base has so much heart, but you know what? They won't listen. They won't listen.
Oh, I'm absolutely ashamed to be a supporter of this club. That was an absolute disgrace. Honestly, I can't even explain. I can't even explain it. I've been an Essendon fan for all my life, a die-hard Essendon fan, and this they treat their fans with deplorable performance like that.
Oh, very flat. It's we're on a journey with this club, and they're it's a tough one.
I me 17 side would give the Dons a run. I'm lost for words, mate. I'm lost for words. But next year, hopefully, mate. You can only pray.
It's been a very long 24 years. I'm sick of it. Something has to change at this club.
We are back. Yes, it has been a few weeks. Thank you very much for your patience. But we are back just in time to report on the current state of malaise. But a big part of me wishes that I was still a few thousand kilometres away. Things are brutal, my friend. How are you going, DT?
Oh, gee, welcome back for a start. I can.
Thank you.
I can assure you that you missed absolutely nothing, and I'm not sure whether you were picking up the scores over in
I was
Roma.
I was keeping a keen eye, watching the news. I think I got up at 4:30 a.m. to watch the Suns game. That was well worthwhile.
You would have been kicking yourself had you got up at 4:30 a.m. for what we witnessed at the MCG last night. That was an absolute Barry Crocker, I've got to tell you. And look, funnily enough, I was saying at halftime, and you were there with me, that was already at halftime we were talking worst game ever seen.
Yeah.
And, we've been watching it for a long, long time. And
yes.
I think it was Glenn McFarlane in the Herald Sun wrote today, he confirmed worst game in the modern era of the AFL. And I don't know what was going on. I mean, it looked like perfect conditions.
Everyone,
everyone
swear it was played in the mud.
Everyone can say, they're two injury-riddled sides, which they are, young sides, which they are, a lot of new kids playing, which was the case. But they are still players that are at the elite level in the AFL system, and that was absolutely horrible to watch. Horrible from both sides. I mean, but the fact that Richmond walked away with the 4 points at least gives them something for their efforts.
Yeah.
We walk away with nothing but question marks, and we're going to get into that today.
We are indeed. And what's interesting, though, is that the game wasn't played on free-to-air. Because, there's been a lot of that happening this year. It was actually behind a paywall, which I would think the AFL is quite relieved about. Because
who's asking for their money back? God, if you had to pay to watch that.
I imagine there were 52,000 supporters there. The yellow and black army left happy, but boy, there's a lot of discontent amongst the red and black, and how much discontent there should be, I suppose we'll try to unpack. But I got to say, whatever enjoyment or glow I had from my little overseas joint, I got to tell you, ever since I left you at Richmond Station last night, I've been feeling physical pain. I mean, we'll get into the injuries that have been added to, but just that and what we endured for that period, it was just brutal, just so brutal. I don't want to belabor the point, but it was just bad.
Yeah. We had the good fortune of running into a couple of the the watchers of our channel last night, Phil, and also I ran into Tony down at the station later on, and both the boys were their mood was no better than ours this morning. It's beyond belief what we had to watch. And, we're going to try and find some reasons for what happened and maybe even find some excuses. I'm not sure we're going to be successful. Yeah. I cannot think of a single reason why any paid-up member of our football club should have to put up with what we saw. And that's not to have a go at some of the younger players. I get it. They're learning their trade. But for some of the senior players...
Yeah.
The total lack of leadership out on that football field last night. And, if Brad Scott can keep spinning that as being okay, I'm sorry, he's not the man for us. And he did that. And he was impressive and articulate in his press conference.
As he always is, yes.
But not a single sniff of accountability. Not a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's got to start to put his hand up and say, you know what, I got it wrong.
Yeah.
And he did get it wrong. The coaching moves, the whole performance from a coaching perspective was substandard, and I seriously question whether he is the man for the future. I've been Scott in for a fair while now. I'm telling you, I'm getting very close to being Scott out. I don't want to go down the path of the typical Carlton supporter, but gee boy, I was tempted to send some SMS messages to the line last night. It was just shocking.
Yeah.
And we should not have to put up with that. I mean, 20 odd years in, we should not have to put up with that.
Many people would argue that this moment and, the depletion of the side is not a time to start, questioning the coach and because of the amount of new blood in the side. But we're going to do it anyway.
Well, look, let's talk about that, because you raised a very good point before we went on air. I was saying, well, look, there are some reasons for a lack of connectivity between the players.
Which was Brad Scott. If anyone that didn't see the press conference, that's what he ran with. He said that there was a lack of synergy, was his words, and cohesion, I think more our words.
And I was starting to soften to that and thinking, you know what, he might be right. And I brought this point up with you, saying that, look, half of these guys haven't played before. They haven't played together as a team. Scott made the point that they only met Archer May 5 weeks ago. Lockie Blackiston 5 weeks ago. Most of these guys haven't played more than 2 or 3 games together as a unit. So there are some reasons for that lack of connectivity across the football field. And you then made a very valid point.
Well, my feeling is very strongly that's fine, and I can buy into that if earlier in the season when we had far fewer injuries, if our play looked incredibly different. Yes, we won more games, but who did we beat? I mean, come on. We've won 6 games, and it was North Melbourne amongst that, Richmond, I think West Coast, but, and otherwise we were getting thumped, really. Maybe a closer game against Carlton. And so, but our forward 50 entries, the way we were playing, it's not like it was chalk and cheese, let's face it. Maybe, marginally better. So I don't buy it. That's the reason. I think there's some issues there. There really are.
Right, and I accept your point. I think when we played Richmond earlier in the season, yes, there were still some players missing from that side, but we barely got over them.
Yeah, barely. So, we were lucky to win that game.
So is it a lack of connectivity between a bunch of young kids who are just coming into the system, not played before? Or is it just a complete lack of coaching nous? And I'm starting to lean to the latter. And, because I don't think it's all about what happens on game day. There has to be some system being coached during training, practice matches, simulations. These guys should be training. And the clear lack of field player placement across the lines, the lack of connection between our defence and our midfield and our forward 50, it's just mind-numbing. It really is so poor.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, our young guys have been doing pretty well to hold the fort for a period of time. I think it all sort of came crashing down on them last night. A lot of those young kids really had poor games.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the senior guys that were out there were, in general, appalling. I'm really going to lay into a few of them today as well. But, I'm going to forgive the young kids for having a night off. Of course they're going to. They're just learning their way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say to you, guys like Redmond, I mean, seriously, what on earth has happened to him?
Ever since that contract, it seems like don't know, foot off the pedal. Is it a subconscious thing where you just have this level of comfort and you just think, well, you know what, I don't. That level of desperation is gone. I don't know what it is.
He's half the player he was a couple of years ago. And I think you could keep going through that list and looking at players who've had more than 60, 70 games. They were generally poor. I will say I thought Laverde was good. I thought Ridley was good amongst the sort of more senior guys.
Yeah.
But gee whiz, they had a lot of the ball coming at them. So, I think those two are probably amongst the better. Zach was... he got a lot of possessions, but how many clangers did he have last night?
He had quite a few. He had quite a few. My issue is, and I mean, had we have won, I don't know whether I'd be even that much more jubilant. In fact, I remember the feeling after we won against Richmond last time that we just thought, oh God, we face Brisbane next week, and we're kind of. We're in trouble. But I think in the end, actually, that performance against Brisbane wasn't so bad. But my issue is that last night, sure, we both had younger players, but I mean, Richmond at the start of the season, in terms of expectations, it was like minimal, right? Maybe win one or two games. But they looked the ones that were more organised. They looked the ones playing with more poise, more ball movement. The ball was ricocheting out of our forward 50 back out so quickly. They were transitioning where often we were trapped in our defensive half. And it's like, what? What? Why?
Or there was a period in the game where we actually did have a lot of forward half possession. I think it was like 80%. I think was it the second quarter and couldn't kick a goal?
Yeah.
I mean, 4 goals out of 55 forward 50 entries.
Yeah.
There's something not right. Yeah. And to be fair, Richmond were missing a lot of players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Lynch for a start wasn't playing. The street basher wasn't playing.
Yes.
Whatever his name is, the guy with the ankle thing. And a lot of their young kids who probably aren't missed so much, but still they had if you look at Richmond's injury list, it's their young Sam Layla wasn't playing.
Yeah.
On and on. So, look, let's stop making excuses for Essendon. Let's stop making excuses. We're shit. It's as simple as that. The club's an absolute mess. I would suggest if I liked Carlton a little bit more, I reckon we should probably merge with them, and try and reform what has been completely broken. The club is broken to its core. And, I mean, we can sit here and you can throw whatever shade at me you want and say, oh, yeah, but we're rebuilding, DT. For God's sake, how many more years are we going to keep coming up with excuses? How come every other football club in this competition, and Gold Coast being the only other club that hasn't played finals since our losing streak in the finals began, but they will be this year, we're going to be sitting rock bottom on that pile of the side that has not won a final in 20 years. We haven't been relevant as a football club for 20 years. 20 years. And it's just reached the point now where this football club has got to stop making excuses and start delivering something. I mean, our injury list is beyond being just bad luck. There is something not right. The players are not being prepared properly. Yes, there's some unlucky. Martin's injury, unfortunately, it's an ACL from all reports, was just a sheer case of bad luck. But, what about the rest of these recurring soft tissue injuries? We've got to stop pretending it's all okay. And we've got to start looking very, very hard at who's running the place and are they qualified to be doing it. The extension of Brad Scott for another year on the basis that it adds a level of stability. You want stable, start winning some bloody games of football. That's it. Stable clubs are successful clubs, not clubs that just extend the coach's tenure.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Yes. Well, I mean, all I would say is we're 3 years in now, and I would have, by this stage, liked to have seen something to build upon. And yes, there's been moments. Don't deny that. There has been some moments where we've got excited in certain games, even though we've lost. We thought, oh gosh, there's something there to build on. But to see what we saw last night after three years under the current regime, very concerning. I also am in the school that under this coach, we'll just be in a holding pattern until there's a serious change. Because the Tigers, why? Yes, they're a young side. They're having the same issues, but at least in that last quarter, they looked imposing, and we looked the desperate team. And that's just, for me, that's been the whole season. So to talk about lack of synergy because of the last few weeks, I just that doesn't sit well with me. It just seems like a bit of a cop out.
They were definitely hungrier. I mean, they were hungry. Their young kids were up for it. Our guys looked lost.
Yeah.
I just don't know what is being said at the breaks, at quarter time, half time, 3/4 time, but we just don't seem to be able to respond. And I mean, if ever you want to look to an example of, well, that's what we should be, that's Richmond. I mean, no one expected they would win a game this year.
No.
I think they've won 4 now, or 4 or 5. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah.
But, they've had some really good young kids come into that side.
Yeah.
But it was more than that. There seemed to be a system that they were playing.
Well, that's the thing, because you always talk about effort and intent, and I would say it was there. I don't know. It seemed to me like we were trying, but they're just the system. There seemed to be, I don't know, a lack of one.
Yeah.
And on the injury front, I mean, we've been making jokes ever since we started this channel about, the hanger and how it's the killing fields and our medium performance manager. And, actually, I'd take medium now.
Yeah.
But there has to be something there. And I've seen sort of comments in the socials over the last few weeks. Well, maybe it's on the players. Maybe they're not taking the advice that they're giving and they're not preparing properly. But yes, that may be true in 1 or 2 instances. And, maybe that was the case with Joe Danaher, who went up to Brisbane, maybe different mindset, or maybe he had better advice. I'm not sure. But that's in a couple of the cases. But in this many cases now, this number of soft tissue injuries, as you say, there's something rotten. That really does need a proper investigation.
Which I believe they're now conducting, but, you can imagine that's an in-house report, most probably, which will clear everyone of any culpability.
Yeah.
And it'll all be,
just an unfortunate set of circumstances.
I'm waiting for them to dump it on the players, honestly. I reckon they're going to come down to the players are not preparing themselves. They're not leading the AFL lifestyle they should be.
Yeah.
Whatever excuses, because this club, if it's good for one thing, it's good for an excuse. It's become a master at doing that for 20-odd years now. And, instead of actually saying, right, on your bike to whomever runs that strength and conditioning program, going out and getting the guy, look, no guarantee the new person's going to make a difference, but at least you're trying something. The club is just so reactive. It doesn't get ahead of the pace car in becoming best in class, and there's no excuse. You see, we keep sitting and looking at everything in a very narrow focus and saying, oh yeah, this year's injuries. Last year it was what? Was it, Jake Stringer wasn't trying hard enough, or Nick Hind was hanging out with criminals, or what was it the year before? When Rutten was the coach, what was it then? And if you go back through the ages, every single year we're being sold an excuse. Every single year. And in the background, Geelong just keep doing what Geelong does. Sydney keeps doing what Sydney does. So Sydney have had really terrible start to the season off the back of a shocking loss in the grand final last year. All of a sudden, they've turned the switch, they're back in, and they're now starting to play like Sydney again. Because they have the capacity, their coaching has the capacity to turn things around and to correct mistakes. We just keep rolling out the same mistakes week in, week out. It's the same poor disposal. It's the same inefficiency going forward. It's the same problems every week, regardless of who's wearing the jumper. It's the same problems. So, we can sit and blame the players until the cows come home. It's not the players' fault. Yeah, there's some senior players in that side who I reckon have checked out. But look, let's be honest. If you've been, knocked down every 6 weeks with a bloody quad injury or a calf injury, you're going to start putting a bit of blame on the club and checking out yourself. Yeah. And I don't blame some of those guys for that. Let's be honest.
That's fair. Yeah.
So you wanted rants?
No. You
rants.
Feel free. I mean, I think it's worthy at this point. So at the moment we're sitting at 6-10, and the next few weeks doesn't look great at all. So the trajectory of the last 3 years has in fact been going down.
Yeah, look,
yes.
I think if you go back to the beginning of the season when we did our season preview, I said we were going to be bottom 4.
You did. I wasn't buying it, but you're right.
But I never thought we would be bottom 4 without a hope. And whilst, yes, there's some signs with some of the kids that have come through, I feel that the problem is not that they're showing a little bit. The problem is that how are we going to squeeze the life out of them? And that's the problem with this football club. Angus Clark looks like a really promising player. Zach Johnson looks really promising. I mean, Caddy could be anything. I thought Kako was actually pretty good last night.
Yeah, it was lively.
But I'm just waiting for the life to be squeezed out of them, for this club to destroy their careers, as they seem to have done so well with every other draft pick that we've had in the last 5 years. That was on show last night with Sartis and Hobbs. We've seen Perkins now back in the seconds.
Yeah.
Apparently did not much in the seconds.
Yeah.
These are all top draft picks. And you can say what you like about Dodoro, and I've been one of his biggest critics. But if we had not taken Sartis at number 5 in the draft, Collingwood would have. There was many clubs that were right into him that year. Maybe if he had gone to Collingwood now, he'd be playing like Scott Pendlebury.
Well, that's the question, right?
Yeah.
That's the issue that we're always asking. We go on about McCluggage and McGrath and people say that's unfair, but maybe he would have been McCluggage would have been a shadow of his current self, playing in the red and black.
Look, I was at the game last night with a friend of mine who is not loves the football, but not really a student of the game. And it's funny, she pointed out, she said, who's that number 1 for Essendon? And I said, oh, well, that's Andrew McGrath. He's the vice captain. She goes, oh, God, he's not very good, is he? I mean, okay, it was a small sample size.
Very, very
but
small
honestly,
sample size.
I mean, I'm hot and cold on Andy McGrath. Some weeks I'm defending him, and other weeks I'm deriding him. I'm deriding him today. He was absolutely horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So where do we go in terms of the rest of the year and the approach that we want to see the coach take? In terms of the playing list, people like Goldstein. We'd probably want to see Vigo play some more. I think get some miles into him. I would have thought.
Well, I think it's a good question. I think let's turn our focus to the future now, because what happened last night and what's happened for the last 20 years, it's history now. We've got to start thinking about what we can do to turn the corner, because I'm not sure anyone at the football club's thinking about it. So let us do that, and I'd be really excited to get the comments from our fan base, who are clearly a lot more switched on when it comes to matters football than the coaching panel. But I think let's do that. Let's talk about the rest of the year and really start to think about what we have in hand in regards to the draft, trading opportunities, what has to happen at the club over the course of the next 6 months. Because here's the thing, we're not going to have 4 or 5 of these guys that have had long-term injuries, ACLs, probably until the middle of next year. So,
Yeah.
So you know,
Yes.
we may in fact not even have Draper full stop on the squad.
Yeah.
So what is the way forward? You know, we've got what 7 games to go or 6 games, something like that.
Well, I just would have thought it's time for some experimentation, both in the game plan, the system. I would have thought everything at this point. There is so little to
Nothing's
lose.
off the table.
It couldn't have been more embarrassing than last night.
Yeah.
So let's just start from the ground up. I mean, the draft period. I mean, actually, we've got to mention too. Maybe we'll end the today's show, didn't we? We received an email from a fan who's very keen to see Draper stay. Right, while we're on the draft talk.
Yes, well, I'll try and get that up on the in the edit. The gentleman has written and recorded a song, actually, and it's very good.
Mate, high production values, I've got to say. I don't know what he's operating out of, but I was impressed.
It was very good, but we'll come back to that. We'll probably try and get that on the end. And, you know, if he doesn't mind, we might use it more than once.
Yeah, but he feels very passionately about Draper.
But we
anyway.
have reached out to Sam Draper's people and hoping to get a response from him. We'll see what happens. But look, let's just quickly go to the... have you got time? Have we got time?
I think so.
Have you guys got time?
Have you got time? Maybe
let's have a little talk about the rest of the year. Okay, so here's first thing. Goldstein, thank you for your service. See you later. He doesn't play again this year. You know, seriously, he doesn't play again this year. I thought Blackistone actually looked pretty... pretty good when he went into the ruck. But we had a problem in the way the team set up yesterday or last night because we had Goldstein, Blackiston, Wright, May and Caddy. We were a little bit tall. I think, you know, I'd be letting Goldstein go, bring Vigo in and question whether Peter Wright should be in that side. I mean, let's do it. Let's try something different. You know, let Caddy was poor, but I think that's expected. He's going to have a few, you know, stinkers. But let's get Vigo back in the side. He plays for the rest of the year for a start. Yeah. I think, you know, we just persist with the kids. I know Sardis was only average, but I'd be saying to Elijah, you've got 6 or 7 games left this season. Show us what you've got, or we're going to put you up for trade.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep. That's fair.
And really just keep persisting with these kids. Yeah. And, you know, I think really there's not much more we can do in terms of player management for the balance of the year because we're down to the the bottom of the barrel.
We are.
There's no more coming in, although I'm sure there's probably an argument for Liam McMahon to get a go. He's kicked a few goals again in the VFL.
Yep, seems to be doing well.
Yeah, but then I think it's all about where we finish on the ladder. And at this stage, I think we're going to be finishing in the bottom 5. So we will have, let's assume we have pick 5 in the draft. If Melbourne continue to just sort of do what they're doing, we might have pick 5 and 6.
Where are they? Is that right?
They're Melbourne are just either below us or above us. I can't remember.
Yeah, 14th. Yeah, okay. Yep, just below us.
So, you know, let's assume we get at least pick 5 and 6. You got to think Draper right now, it's probably 50-50 whether he stays or goes.
Yeah.
I personally think they should just encourage him to go and get whatever they can for him.
I would agree.
You know, we've got some reasonably talented young rucks. Yeah, let's just persist with those guys, and if necessary, get a sort of journeyman ruckman to come in and help them out. You know, someone who's been around the traps for a while. And again, I think is it O'Reilly that plays for Adelaide, might be an option if Draper goes over there. I can't remember his name. You guys will know.
Yeah.
But I think we go into the draft hand with the draft period with, you know, potentially 3 top 10 picks, and then we've got a couple of second rounders in the 20s.
Yeah.
And all focus really needs to be on what we do with those picks. And I know a lot of the other Essendon channels have been looking at, you know, some of the options around that and what are the draft options that we will have. But we've got to just keep building on the youth.
Yeah,
and getting, you know, the type of players that we need for the long term. And I have trust in Matt Rosa.
Yeah,
as a recruitment
but
manager.
Gosh, he must have his hands full now, given what has transpired and which way do you go with this level of carnage that there's been at the club, right? Because what can you count on? What can you rely on? I know there's been talk of, you know, maybe Langford might look. You know, his head might turn if someone made him an offer.
Off your hop.
Well, you know, I don't know what you'd get,
Don't think it matters.
That's a problem. You don't think?
Honestly, I don't think it matters.
But isn't there a price at which the value is still better than with the club if he stays with the club? Because we've got salary cap space. So wouldn't it make sense? If you're going to get nothing, well then keep him. Surely.
Well, I mean, that's an argument. What would Langford be worth? Like, I'm pretty sure you would get maybe a pick in the high 20s. I mean, a club in the window could do with a player of, Langford's skills. I think the question is whether he's going to be able to stay on the football field.
Yeah, but this is where other clubs probably think, man, their department is just terrible. We can fix that.
Well, and so then that would help to improve his value.
Yes, it would. I don't know how much. I mean, if I'm negotiating, I'd say, mate, dodgy goods, brother. Dodgy goods.
So I reckon anyone who's sort of contesting for a finals place or are in the window, Langford would be a handy pickup. Yeah. I think we're starting to see Stringer doing some decent work up at GWS.
Yeah, he does seem to be.
They're a finals side that can benefit from his contribution. Langford makes no difference to us now. I think we got 2 good seasons, very good seasons out of him. Not that those 50-goal seasons mattered, because we didn't make finals. And I think you could also throw Darcy Parish into that mix.
Yeah.
Parish, I think, is done as a footballer, but, you might be able to get a 3rd-round pick for him. Maybe a Geelong could say, he could be a missing link to their midfield whilst they continue their kind of their sort of run at finals.
Again, I think he's the sort of player, where you're probably not going to get as much as you'd hoped. So then it reaches that balancing point where it's just better to keep him.
But if we keep him, you play him. And that means you've got a 28, 29-year-old, injury-prone. Let's be honest, his best is past him, footballer, who's holding out someone else, who's keeping a young kid out of the side. I mean, we're going to rebuild, but don't pad the side out with guys that are really not going to be there for the future and are only just sort of, big paychecks. That's all they are at the moment.
Yeah, but then that's the issue. Is it the players that are injury prone, or have we made them injury prone?
Well, that's now, I guess the fact is that they are, whether the club was the cause of that or it's just bad luck. But if Darcy Parish is fully fit, Kyle Langford is fully fit, so you're going to have to think, who goes out when those guys come back? And that's going to be the dilemma for the club, is when these injured players become available, who goes out? Do we suddenly throw Zach Johnson out and back into the VFL side after he's shown a lot of promise? Does Angus Clark go out after he's shown a lot of promise? I think Luaman Lual is starting to show. He had a pretty poor game against Richmond, but I think we're all kind of surprised at how promising he's looked.
Sure.
So those guys, we just toss them back into a pretty shit VFL system? No, I mean, to me, I would rather, if we're going this path, let's go all in on it and not just sort of try to be a mediocre side and sit around about 8-9 wins every year. Let's take the medicine now and make some bold list management decisions.
Yeah, okay.
I think we've got to. And I could go, Peter Wright, look, I had a sort of feeling Peter Wright was turning things around a bit this year. But when we really, really need Peter Wright, is he the guy?
Yeah.
Like last
night, really. He kicks 3 goals, we win the game.
Right. And
sure, what is that worth? Maybe not much. Yeah. But he just stands up last night and it's game over.
Yeah.
Game over.
So I'd rather persist with Archer May and Nate Caddy as 2 key forwards, and then you've potentially got Liam McMahon in the background, than continually persisting with Peter Wright. Peter Wright keeps out the second ruckman because they will use a key ruck plus Peter Wright. I'd rather we make the call and go with Vigo and Nick Bryan and just see how that works, So there's a lot of questions around this list. Is the club... Now, here's the thing. Is the club prepared to really do what Sam Mitchell did at Hawthorn a few years ago?
Yeah.
And that is go, you know what, we're not going anywhere with these veteran players. Now, to be fair, their veteran players were premiership players, ours are not. But that made the decision to release them even more difficult, and they did it. Luke Hodge and,
Jordan
Jaeger
Lewis.
O'Meara and all these guys that were absolute superstars for that football club were told, sorry, we don't need you anymore. They took the medicine, and look at them 4 or 5 years later, they're a finals team.
Yeah.
So what do? We cannot keep. It's what the Einstein said. His famous saying is, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result.
That was what I was thinking last night by the second quarter, and just our forward 50 entries, and yes. I totally agree.
Yeah.
That couldn't be more apt.
So in a nutshell, the last 6 games or whatever, I don't even know how many we've got, but whatever games we've got left, play the kids. Take the hidings. We're going to lose. No way is Brad Scott going anywhere. I mean, he and Dave Burham are locked at the hip together. They're going to go down or whatever together. But there's going to be no change in coaching. I'm assuming that they will do a lot around the strength and conditioning sort of lists in terms of the personnel.
Yeah.
And really, it's this draft that we're going to have a really strong draft hand in. Not a great draft from all reports, but, there's always some gems in and amongst the draft, no matter what, the depth may be. This draft is going to be Matt Rose's time. He's got to nail it. He's got to find the keys for our future. Frankly, I don't think we're going to be in the running for Harley Reid or any big name player this year. Why would they come to Essendon? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
They're not coming to Essendon. So, it's really going to be a very, very crucial sort of 4 or 5 month period. And then hopefully we go into season 26, with a group of young kids that's going to be the future of this football club.
Yeah. Very good. Good summary. I suggested while we're away that this could be this might be a separate episode, but given that our friends down at Carlton Land have been struggling as well, I was just wondering whether we should pose the question: who has the right to be more depressed, Carlton or Essendon fans?
What's your thought?
Well, it's a tough one because I could litigate each side, I think, just as strongly. I mean, the Blues haven't had the drug saga to deal with. There's one thing. Very wealthy club, so they've tried throwing money and everything at it. No joy. They've had some final success.
Yeah.
That's something. They don't have memes about how many thousand days that they haven't won a final. But after last night, I reckon it's neck and neck.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if there's a simple answer to that. I kind of feel that Carlton are actually, I think they've run their race. And they've got the best out of those players, those very good players.
Many Carlton fans would agree.
Yeah,
many. They're asking. They're asking for a clean out as well.
Right, and I think there's a lot of talk about do they need players like Walsh, and even Cripps's names come up. But
definitely,
yeah. I think they're going to probably lose Tom de Koning to St Kilda. He's probably their most promising youngish player. But when you look at their list, they don't have a lot in terms of young players. I mean, they missed out. What's the guy they drafted at the beginning of the year who was injured?
I forget.
Jagger, what's his name? Him. But yeah, I actually think we're a little bit more advanced in terms of the playing list because we've been able to debut so many young kids. So if we've debuted 12 young kids, if 6 of them become good AFL footballers, that makes this season actually a good season. Because we wouldn't have done it otherwise. There's no way Brad Scott was going to play those kids,
No.
had he had the full list to choose from.
Yeah, no, his hand was forced. Definitely.
So I would tend to suggest, funnily, after all of what we've said today, we're a little bit better off. But that could change. If we don't develop those kids, if we don't find a game plan that's sustainable in an AFL environment, then it'll be all for nothing. All of the pain we've gone through this year will be for nothing. Whereas I think Carlton, who has less to look forward to in terms of youth, probably have a better system behind it to make the most of what talent they've got. I think there's, Michael Voss is probably ahead of Brad Scott in terms of coaching credentials.
Oh, many Carlton the Carlton fan base might disagree.
Right, he got them to a preliminary final.
Yes. Yes.
So look, I don't know. It's an interesting question. I'm sure.
Anyway, whatever thoughts you have, we'd love to. We'd love to hear it. I just thought it's an interesting question because the other nemesis, Collingwood, of course, is sitting atop the ladder.
Well, they're in a different league. I mean, look, Carlton and Essendon, it is a Shakespearean tragedy. The fall from grace for these two, traditional Melbourne powerhouses. It's a remarkable story.
No one languishes like us.
Yeah,
we are the languish kings.
So you just think how bad we've been, and we've been bad. I mean, Carlton, they've won a few wooden spoons over the journey since their last premiership.
Yeah.
So they're 30 years off their last premiership.
Yeah.
We're 25.
Yeah.
I mean, both clubs are largely irrelevant now, and it's incredible to think that we still sit on the top of the premiership ladder, equal 16 wins with Collingwood as well.
Aren't Collingwood on 17?
No, 16. They're equal with us.
After winning? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll be 17 this year, though.
Oh, will they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right on that.
Okay.
You can,
I don't know.
I'm never wrong.
Anyway, okay. I think is that a wrap for today? Anything else we need to get off our chest?
No,
Probably?
just to say that the AFLW season's about to kick off soon, so looking forward to that, seeing how the girls go. Bonnie and Mads and the rest of them.
Yes.
Hopefully the ladies can sort of do something that the men's team can't do.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Now, the next time we record, actually, we may have to be in a new home because
it'll be evicted.
Well, I mean, they're doing maintenance in the building where our studio is, so very annoying. Very annoying.
Do they kick Peter Hitchner out?
Brian Naylor. Anyone else?
Do they ever get asked to leave Studio One?
We can't record this if we don't have a fake brick wall behind us. I don't know what we're going to do. Anyway, we might have to just record it from our car. Our season on this channel has very much reflected the plight of our club. It's just been rough on the broadcasting front. But anyway, thank you for watching. As always, if you made it this far, we salute you, and we'll be back hopefully very soon.
Thanks, guys, and hang in there. We know it's tough. We're with you on that one, and I mean, you're an absolutely remarkable fan base. The Essendon fan base is. I mean, seriously, if they were handing out orders of Australia or whatever, this fan base should collectively get one for putting up with the shit that we've had to put up with. And Essendon, shame on you. Shame on you for putting us through this year in, year out and not taking a sniff of accountability for it.
Shame.
We turn up every week. You better start turning up. Thank you. All
right, geez, he slipped in one final rant. Hey, nicely done. All right, thanks again for watching. See you soon. Bye for now. Bye.
Draper, please don't go. Draper, please don't go. You know we love you so. Draper, please don't go. In the red and black, the number 2, we all love you so. Draper, please don't go. We love your style, we love your smile. You make our day at the football all worthwhile. With your crazy ways, we come to see you play. So Draper, please don't go. The hangar is where you should hang. You give the Bombers their spark, you give the Bombers their bang. Flamboyance, goal of the year. Drapes, you belong here. Sign on, continue this song. There's a premiership coming. Stay with us to sing our premiership song. Draper, please don't go. Draper, please don't go. There's a premiership coming. Stay with us to sing our premiership song. Draper, please don't go. Draper, please don't go. You know we love you so. Draper, please don't. Draper, please don't go. Draper, please don't go. Ooh, you know we love you so. Draper, please don't go. In the red and black, the number 2, we all love you. So Draper, please don't go.